Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais. Pole pole. Ya leo Mheshimiwa Rais wa sherehe ya kimataifa ya maonyesho ya kimataifa. Moja.
Habari. Hello, how are you? Habari zenu?
And we have got the indigenous and exotic varieties that we are trying to plant.
Hiyo yellow maize pana 14. Pana 14. Inayo pioneer 13. Tuko also sitting in the one. Ndio mzuri sana. Because we need
this one.
Waseme.
And then green.
Hapa najaribu.
Ng'ombe zangu wasikuli mapenzi baba.
Then you, after a while, you can plant it again. Okay?
Use Mexican marigold. That's it from there.
Oh, this one.
Mexican marigold,
Okay.
coriander, and devil pepper.
Very good.
It is a strong repellent that keeps away any for it to supply the and then from the
300,000 of 50 Prince Choice. Can I have your bid? Prime cut on page 2. They are good for breeding. 550 kwa governor for the. Can I have your bid?
Women in agriculture, Miss Josephine Mora, then the winner is Ibrahim Waidhumbi from Nyandarua County. Youth in agriculture, Lamek Kabutu, Victoria.
Enoch Imtai, Mohammed, 50 years, long service award. 40 years award, Joseph Mugo. Samuel Mweu.
Regulatory Authority and Corporation stand. Kenya Plant Health Inspector.
This year's edition of the Agricultural Show of Kenya's Nairobi International Trade Fair is special because it provides us with a virtual opportunity, and a vital one at that, to have a conversation on a broad variety of subjects which define our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. In doing so, it demonstrates the power of agriculture as the engine of Kenya's economy and its potential to propel even greater rates of growth and development. At the foundation of our reflections today, I invite you to consider the intersection of many topics around agriculture and agricultural transformation. To begin with, the idea of elevating the famous Nairobi National Agricultural Show into an international trade fair came out of the realization that agriculture is the prime mover of our nation's economic activity across sectors and beyond our borders. It is therefore critical that we use opportunities such as this to engage a broader regional, continental, and global audience. At the heart of our bottom-up transformation agenda is the endeavor to radically increase employment opportunities and simultaneously significantly enhance the productivity of labor in 5 priority sectors. Without a doubt, our interventions to transform agriculture are fundamental to the successful implementation of the plan. One of the drivers of the high cost of living and high levels of poverty, especially in rural areas, is that agricultural productivity has stagnated even as our population rose. Consequently, our food production more often than not falls below demand, and the importation of food increases our trade deficit and increases food prices. Given that food constitutes up to 54% of household expenditure, agricultural productivity is therefore a very high priority. At the same time, agriculture contributes 70% of employment of our population. Low productivity contributes to low earnings in the agricultural sector and undermines the capacity of households to withstand the cost of living, deepening poverty. Further, agriculture contributes 25% to our GDP directly and another 25% indirectly, a total of 50%. Low productivity responsible for deficit in essential agricultural produce is responsible for high importation, which depletes our foreign exchange and deepens the negative trade balance, worsening economic situations everywhere. Very few sectors of our economy have endured as much shock and stress as agriculture on account of extreme weather events, erratic climate, and the other adverse impacts of climate change. Our nation and our region has just emerged from a devastating spell of drought, which lasted for 6 seasons, leaving behind a catastrophic trail of famine, undernourishment, loss of crops and livestock, disrupted livelihoods, increased poverty, and weakened resilience. Yet we are not here to talk about all that is negative, especially when the prospects of a turnaround are so clear before us. This overview is intended to be a contextual backdrop of the opportunities that exist for local and international investors to direct capital and technology into agriculture and agro-industrial manufacturing in order to set out our economy on a path of transformation. Kenyan manufacturing remains largely defined by agriculture. 40% of manufacturing jobs are in the agro-based industries, which account for over half of the sector and 48% of GDP. Value addition remains the most viable means of enhancing the competitiveness of our agricultural exports. We are collaborating with the county governments to establish, as I have said, a county aggregation and industrial park in every county. And we have begun the process to roll out the construction. It is my instruction that these county aggregation and industrial parks should be finished within the next 9 months and make them ready to serve farmers across the country. Our bottom-up economic transformation agenda aims to transform 2 million farmers from food deficit to surplus producers and reduce our dependence on basic food imports like domestic oil crops, wheat and rice, by 30%, through the provision of financing for inputs accompanied by intensive agricultural extension support. Fertilizer alone contributes up to 30% of crop productivity. Since assuming office, we have taken decisive steps to reduce the price of fertilizer through the fertilizer subsidy program, from Kenya shillings 6,500 per 50 kilogram bag to 3,500, then further to 2,500. As a consequence, 4 million 50 kilogram bag of soil and crop-specific fertilizer has been distributed so far, with 2 million 50 kilogram bags expected to be distributed for the short rains between now and December. Consequently, farmers could afford to grow more crops, resulting in the cultivation of an extra 200,000 acres this season alone, and a projected harvest of 44 million 90 kilogram bag in the long range alone, a 42% increase from a long-time average of 31.3 million bags. Utilizing our full agricultural potential can mitigate our dependence on food imports, protecting our foreign exchange and insulating us from vulnerability to international price shocks. At the same time, we remain most globally competitive in agriculture, both in traditional crops like tea, coffee, cut flowers, and vegetables, as well as emerging export crops such as macadamia and avocado. This means that transforming agricultural activity will turn around our balance of trade through increased exports. It is the reason why, as the Governor of Nairobi said, we are expanding the footprints of markets across Kenya. Apart from the markets we are building in the city of Nairobi, we are building another 400 markets in rural areas in Kenya and 47 county aggregation and industrial parks. This will serve as outlets for our farmers. And these facilities will not only have storage, it will also have cold rooms. It will also have value addition infrastructure. And it will also have common user facilities for people in the space of agro-processing and value addition, so that we can not only create jobs, we can also add value to our products, increase incomes for our farmers, and eliminate wastage. Because when we provide storage and cold rooms, we eliminate post-harvest losses that come as a result of wastage that accompanies infrastructure that is not sufficient for our farmers to use to protect themselves from unnecessary losses. To turn agricultural production around to an accelerated growth trajectory, we have also made adequate provision to raise productivity in key food and other value chains, including edible oils, rice, cotton, dairy, beef, and leather, to boost tea sector and reform underperforming and collapse export crop value chains that have challenges like coffee, cashew nut, pyrethrum, and new crops, avocado and macadamia. The promise of this strategic pathway is immense. For instance, by investing in the cultivation of palm oil, sunflower, canola, and soybeans, we project to increase the annual domestic production of edible oils from 80,000 metric tons currently to 240,000 metric tons over the next 5 years, thereby reducing our dependency on imports and saving the country almost 100 billion that we spend annually on imports of edible oils. And the ministry has undertaken, the Ministry of Agriculture that is, that they will deliberately make seeds available, whether it is for sunflower, canola, soya. We are going to make sure that these seeds are affordable and they are available. We are also discussing with CALRO and the other research institutes so that we can also have wheat varieties that are researched appropriately so that we can enhance our production in the wheat varieties that we have. Similarly, the expansion of our rice production schemes in Ahero and Mwea, as well as the establishment of new ones in Tana River and in Migori, can make the country self-sufficient, saving us another 34 billion in imports. On the other hand, accelerated investment in cotton value chain will reduce our fabric importation by at least 50% and take Kenya's textile exports to 150 billion by 2027. I am happy to note that there is already a running program on importation of high-quality seed of cotton that will be made available to farmers. And I am happy that counties are working with us on this aspect of ensuring that cotton becomes the white gold that we always knew it to be. I want to encourage the county governments that are working with us to work with the Ministry of Agriculture as we deliver cotton seed for them to engage in the growing. I want to ask them to work with farmers so that farmers can have access to extension services. On leather, we are investing 1.7 billion in the 2023-2024 budget to develop the leather park industry in Kenanie. There will be more investments by government and private sector to further transform the leather value chain into a globally competitive finished leather and leather goods manufacturing industry and reduce importation of leather goods, especially footwear. As a short-term measure to mitigate the high cost of food, the government has waived duty on imported maize, rice, sugar, and raw materials for manufacturing of livestock feeds. Specifically, in this year's budget, we have waived duty on yellow maize for animal feed production. I will shortly have a conversation with all the manufacturers of our animal feed so that we engage and find ways beyond the interventions we already have to ensure that our dairy, leather, and in general livestock sector is taken care of. 2/3 of our country's agricultural land requires irrigation, but only 4% is under irrigation. I believe that irrigation is a singular transformative intervention that will liberate agricultural productivity from low and erratic rainfall patterns and enable farmers to be in active production throughout the year. And that is the reason why we have a comprehensive government program to ensure that we harvest and store water in dams, in microdams, in ponds, and a comprehensive program is being undertaken by the Ministry of Water and Irrigation and working with the private sector under the PPP program to ensure that we increase the land under irrigation from the current 60,000 to 250,000 by next year and 500,000 hectares in 5 years.